Hi friends, welcome back. Today we are discussing on the subject pharmacology part 5. Today we are mainly focusing on the competitive exam mode. Up to this we discussed various topics. Today we are discussing on the subject anthelmintics and anti-tubercular drugs. These two portions are very important for the competitive exam as well as for the theory purpose, and as a pharmacist we should know what are the anti-tubercular drugs or anthelmintics that we come across our day-to-day practice. So we can start the today's session. First of all, what is anhelmintics? Anhelmintics are the drugs that either kill or it expel our infecting helminths that affect our body. This anhelmintics may be either vermicide or vermifuge. Vermicide means that kill the helminths that infect our body, and vermifuge means that inhibit the growth of a particular helminth. The important anhelmintics coming under this category first is mebendazole. As the name suggests, it is a benzimidazole derivative. So if you ask for a benzimidazole derivative that blocks the glucose uptake, it is mebendazole. So go to the mechanism of action. Mebendazole acts by blocking the glucose uptake in the parasite. That is, that block the energy required for the parasite action, and thereby it depletes the glycogen or glycogen storage. It mainly acts by binding with the beta tubulin, thereby inhibit the polymerization of the helminth. The mebendazole may be used for treating the roundworm, hookworm, whipworm, or pinworm. Pinworm is otherwise known as enterobius. This mebendazole is not used in pregnancy. Note that. Other important anhelmintic is the albendazole. As we all know, as we go across the anhelmintics, we prefer albendazole. But it is a weak microfilaricidal in action. The mechanism of action is same as mebendazole, that it reduces the glucose uptake and affect the helminth. But this albendazole absorption is enhanced with the fatty meal. The uses are in wide area or wide spectrum. It is active against Ascaris, hookworm, Enterobius, that is whipworm, and Trichuris, trichinosis, neurofisticosis, cutaneous lava migrans, and for the hydatid disease. And mainly albendazole is used against filariasis. So this albendazole is added with the diethyl carbamazine Aldec or ivermectin, and this is mainly used in the eradication of microfilaria. Other anhelmintics include the pyrandyl pamoate and piperazine. For these two drugs, we want to know the mechanism of action. In this pyrandyl pamoate, it acts by activation of the nicotinic cholinergic receptors. Thereby, it causes a persistent depolarization, thereby lead to the paralysis of the helminth or the affecting worm. So, it causes activation of the nicotinic cholinergic receptors, thereby finally result in paralysis of the helminth. But in case of piperazine, instead of depolarization, here it occurring a hyperpolarization of the Ascaris muscle by GABA agonistic action opening chloride channel. Here, so it resulting in instead of paralysis, here a relaxation happens and it depresses the responsiveness to the contractile action of acetylcholine and leads to the paralysis. In this two, that is pyrandyl pamoate and piperazine, the paralysis is happening, but in first pyrandyl pamoate, it causes a depolarization, while in piperazine, causes a hyperpolarization by opening of chloride channel. And piperazine can be used in pregnancy. Diethyl carbamazine citrate, otherwise popularly known as DEC. This drug is highly selective against microfilariae. It acts by alteration of the microfilarial membrane, that is denoted by MF, thereby promoting the cell death of the microfilariae. This tech is mainly used against the filariasis. Yearly, once combination treatment is carrying out with albendazole 400 mg plus DEP 600 mg, which will prevent the spreading of filariasis and also used for the tropical pulmonary eosinophilia. Gone to other drugs that can be used for worms include the ivermectin and praziquantel. The ivermectin is the drug of choice in onchocerciasis and strongyloidiasis. It is microfilaricidal, that is, it prevents the growth and kill the growth of microorganisms. This acts by the glutamate gated chloride channel in invertebrates and which will potentiate or which will increase the GABAergic transmission in worms, which will finally result in paralysis of worms. Note that here the glutamate-related chloride channel and potentiation of GABAergic transmission is carrying out and finally result in paralysis. Praziquantel, this is cause or question asked in the competitive exam. This drug is used to treat the trematodes as well as cystodes, but note that it is not used in nematodes. This praziquantel can cause nausea, vomiting, skin rashes, itching, muscle and joint pain, but this praziquantel is used in schistosomiasis and tapeworm infestation. Next, we are moving to the second category of drugs, that is anti-tubercular drugs. Tuberculosis is a chronic granulomatous disease which is caused by the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, not the infective organism, it is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Here, the lipid-rich mycobacterial cell wall is impermeable to many agents. So, we want to go for more than single drug, we are preferring the combination of the drug to prevent the emergence of resistance as well as to permeate the drug into the lipid-rich mycobacterial cell wall. Here, the response is low and the treatment must be administered for months to years depending upon which drugs we are using for the treatment. The tuberculosis is a chronic infectious disease caused by, as we already said, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It can be diagnosed by AFB, that is, the sputum examination of acid fast bacillus by chest radiography and by Mantoux test. Now, this tuberculosis is diagnosed by Mantoux test. This Mantoux test is asked in the previous competitive exam. The drugs used in tuberculosis can be categorized into two categories, that is, first line drugs and second line drugs. The first line drugs are the drugs that are administered routinely for the treatment against tuberculosis. That include the INH or S-isoniazid, rifampin, pyrazinamide, ethambutol, and streptomycin. Among this, the isoniazid and rifampin are the two most active drugs. Second category is second line drugs. That is, when first line cannot be used or to supplement them, we are go for the second line drugs. It includes a number of drugs like PAS, that is para-aminosalicylic acid, ethionamine, cycloserine, rifampicin, rifampicin, kanamycin, amikacin, thiacetazone, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, moxifloxacin, that is all floxacin derivatives, clarithromycin, azithromycin like fluoroquinolone, all include among these second line drugs. Diethylene carbamazine citrate, otherwise popularly known as DEC. This drug is highly selective against microfilariae. It acts by alteration of the microfilarial membrane, that is denoted by MF, thereby promoting the cell death of the microfilariae. This tech is mainly used against the filariasis. Yearly, one's combination treatment is carrying out with albendazole 400 mg plus DEP 600 mg, which will prevent the spreading of filariasis. And also, the adverse reactions of isoniazid which include the first one, INS-induced hepatitis. This is the most frequent major toxic effect, and this risk may increase in old age, in alcoholics, and during pregnancy and postpartum period. And the peripheral neuritis is more likely to occur in the slow acetyliters and patients with a predisposing condition. Now that the adverse reaction of INS include as hepatitis, and we can find out the ADR include the neuropathy. This neuropathy is due to the relative pyridoxine deficiency. So if you are administering an INS, which will promote the excretion of pyridoxine. So while administering the isoniazid, we are co-administering the pyridoxine in a dose 100 mg per day. This isoniazid, which will act by inhibiting the synthesis of mycolic acid. This mycolic acid, which are essential component of the mycobacterial cell wall. The isoniazid will act by inhibiting the synthesis of mycolic acid. Going to the drug interaction of isoniazid, isoniazid is basically an enzyme inhibitor. So it increases the plasma level of the drug like warfarin, phenytoin, etc. Note that the aluminum hydroxide which will inhibit the absorption of isoniazid. So while administering, ask for if any aluminum hydroxide products are taking which will inhibit the absorption of isoniazid. Next anti-tubercular drug is rifampicin. Rifampin or rifamycin, same thing. Note that the rifampin is a sterilizing agent or non-sterilizing agent used for anti-tubercular drug or anti-tubercular drug with sterilizing agent property is the drug rifampin, because it is the only agent which is effective against three subpopulations. Rifampin is administered together with isoniazid, ethambutol or other anti-tubercular drug, which will prevent the emergence of drug-resistant mycobacteria. Going to the mechanism of action, rifampin inhibit the DNA-dependent RNA polymerase enzyme, which will inhibit the RNA synthesis. This mycobacteria, which will develop resistance to rifampicin rapidly due to the mutation of RPOB which will reduce its affinity for the drug. So note that mechanism of action which will inhibit DNA-dependent RNA polymerase, and it is a sterilizing agent with anti-tubercular property. Gone to the adverse drug reaction of rifampin, which include the hepatitis, cutaneous syndrome, that is, it show the flushing, pruritus, rashes, red and watering eyes, flu syndrome, that is flu-like syndrome, that chills, headache, malaise, and bone pain, causes GI irritation. Note that the administration of rifampin or rifampicin, which will cause an orange to red to the urinary secretions as well as other secretions. Next anti-tubercular drug is pyrazinamide, which will act or is it called as a synthetic analog of nicotinamide, which is active against intracellular bacilli with tuberculosis activity, which also inhibit the mycolic acid synthesis. Here, the drug is taken up by the macrophages and kill the bacilli within the acidic environment. The adverse drug reactions include the hepatotoxicity, hyperuricemia, abdominal stress, and arthalgia. Here, this hyperuricemia effect which will provoke the acute gouty arthritis. So, the pyrazinamide is less preferred for arthritis patient. Next anti-tubercular drug is ethambutol, which is a selective tuberculostatin which acts by inhibiting the synthesis of mycobacterial cell wall. Adverse drug reaction, most adverse effect is retroburbular neuritis, or the administration of ethambutol may cause the loss of visual acuity and red to green color blindness. So it's a dose related side effect. So this ethambutol is mostly contraindicated in children too young because in children there is difficult to assessment of visual acuity and red to green color. Next, we are moving to the second category of drugs, that is anti-tubercular drugs. Tuberculosis is a chronic granulomatous disease which is caused by the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, not the infective organism, it is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Here, the lipid-rich Mycobacterial cell wall is impermeable to many agents. So, we want to go for more than single drug, we are preferring the combination of the drug to prevent the emergence of resistance as well as to permeate the drug into the lipid-rich mycobacterial cell wall. Here, the response is low and the treatment must be administered para-aminosalicylic acid or PAS. This PAS is structurally similar to the sulfonamide, which will inhibit the falling synthetase and produce tuberculostatic effect. It is given in multi-drug therapy in MDR-TP. The adverse drug reactions include nausea, anorexia, and epigastric pain. Gone to the other drug that is ethionamide, which is similar to the isoniazid. This will also inhibit the mycolic acid synthesis and prevent cell wall synthesis. It is a tuberculostatic drug and is active against both extracellular and intracellular bacteria. The ADR includes the nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. It is also a reserved drug for the leprosy. Cycloserine. This is a chemical analog of D-alanine. It is a tuberculostatic and it acts by inhibiting the cell wall synthesis by inactivating the enzyme. It is tuberculostatic. Toxicity mainly include in CNS, that is sleepiness, tremors, convulsion, psychosis, etc. And it can be prevented by pyridoxine administration 100 mg per day. RNPCP. Note that the expansion includes the revised National Tuberculosis Control Program. Gone to the tuberculosis therapy, we can find that the combination chemotherapy for the tuberculosis. It includes the two phases in the treatment of tuberculosis. The intensive phase which lasts for 8 weeks, which make the patient non-infectious. That means it prevents the spreading. The second is a continuation phase which lasts for 6 months or more, or at least 2 drugs should be taken during the continuation phase. The drug regimens and the treatment category include either long-term therapy or DOTS therapy, that is directly observed treatment short course. And it consists of 8 weeks of treatment with rifampicin, isoniazid, ethambutol, and pyrocinamide, and the continuation phase treatment with INH, rifampin, and pyrocinamide. And here in DOTS, the drugs have to be collected daily during DOTS and taken under direct observation by the health worker, and the streptomycin is also used in DOTS. Dose can be changed according to the body weight. MDR-TB and XDR-TB. MDR-TB means multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. That is, resistant to INH and rifampicin along with any other anti-TB medication is called as MDR-TB. For the treatment, the second line drugs along with the first line drugs in higher doses are given for a period of 12 to 24 months. That is for 1 to 2 years. While XDR-TB, that is extensively resistant TB, is very rare and is considered when the bacilli is resistant to 4 seedal drugs, mainly INH, rifampicin, fluoroquinolone, and one of the KM, AM, or CM, that is kanamycin, amikacin, and capreomycin drug. If tuberculosis happen for a lactating mother, the full course should be given to the mother because BCG and INS pyridoxine 10 to 25 mg per day should be given to the child, and baby should be washed while giving the post course of the drug to the mother. Relating to the tuberculosis, we come across a word that is MAC infection. MAC means Mycobacterium avium complex infection, which is a opportunistic pathogen which is disseminated and multifocal disease in immunocompromised patients like AIDS, HIV patient, etc. For this infection, we are treating with newer macrolide antibiotics which are particularly active against this MAC infection. By this, we come to the end of the session. If you find this video useful, please share to your friends. And if you are not subscribed till now, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you once again. Bye.